while they were doing my epidural, they went into my spinal space instead of my epidural space.
Ooh.
So what he did is he went into my spinal space and then was like, oops, I'm not in the right spot, came out, and then went into my epidural space. We went home like 2 or 3 days later, and while I was in the hospital, I kept saying, I have a really bad headache.
Hi, I'm Kayla Heater, follower of Jesus, wife and mother of 5 children, Christian childbirth educator and doula, and your host of the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, where we share God-centered birth stories, evidence-based birth education, and our pursuit of surrendering our birth plans to God. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, this is Kayla. This is her daughter, Brinkley. My mom had to hurry off to a birth, so I'm doing the intro this week instead of her. Hope you don't mind. I'm really excited because I'm dancing in the Nutcracker this year, and I'm going to be a junior soldier and a shepherdess. This will be my second time dancing in the Nutcracker. Also, our family is very excited about the weather cooling down. Fall is our favorite season. My brothers and I have been spending more time outdoors, and they have been riding their bikes every day. And of course, we are all anxiously awaiting the arrival of baby number 6 later this year. Okay, enough about us. Let's get into this week's episode. For your first birth, you end up having an elective induction that goes relatively smoothly, with a very strong epidural and no major complications, other than a huge headache that was able to be resolved. So why would you choose to do it differently the next time? For Emma, she was blessed to be able to experience a pain-free natural birth with her second delivery when she chose to go to a different location for her birth. Listen today to hear why she chose to go natural for round 2 and why she'd do it 10 million more times.
Well, welcome to another episode of Surrendered Birth Stories. I am your host, Kayla Heater, and I have Emma with me today. I met Emma in my most recent childbirth class, and now she has had her second little baby, and she is here to share both of her birth stories. So Emma, take a second, introduce yourself, tell us about you and your life, and let us know who we're talking to today.
All right, my name's Emma Gowan. I'm from Mount Airy. I have 2 cute little girls. I have Ezra, which is 20 months, and then I have Ollie, which she is now 9 weeks old. I'm a wife and a mother and a Christ follower. So those are the 3 main things that make my identity. We have had a lot of life changes here recently. We have bought houses and cars and had babies. So all within the last probably 5 years. So we are very young couples. We've had a lot of stuff going on in our lives. So we stay pretty busy, but definitely rooted in Christ. Christ has helped us do everything. We would not be who we are or where we are if we didn't totally just follow God's path. This is all God's doing. So
Absolutely. Well, how young is young, you young couple?
we got married when we were 21, and we are both, I am 23 and my husband is 24. So all of the things have happened within those years. When we got married, we did not live together quite yet. And so when we got married, we moved into a rental house together. And then from our rental house, we bought our home that we live in now. So
Nice. So it has been a busy few years. Do you feel like you're a grown up now?
No, I'm like, who allowed me to have children? Like, why? Am I responsible for other human beings? But it's going well, though.
I get it. And I don't think that feeling goes away. I'm almost 37, and I went to a bank the other day to get approved for like an auto loan because we need a new car. And I looked at the banker and I was like, I don't feel like I'm old enough to do this. Like, I don't feel like I'm grown up enough to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is so weird to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just was like, wow, on number wise, I guess I'm getting older, but I don't feel any older. You know, still feel kind of like a kid playing house sometimes.
It's crazy.
6 kids into it and I'm playing house. Playing that game of life, you know, and I need a second car to carry all my kids in on the game board.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's get in to your stories. So it couldn't have been that long ago. You said your oldest is 20 months old. So take us back to getting pregnant with her. Tell us the story there. Was it a plan? Was it a surprise? And yeah, just
Yeah, so with Ezra, we got married, and shortly after we were like, do we want to go ahead and have kids like young, or do we want to wait a little bit and travel and do that thing? And so God was really just like, go ahead. If you're gonna do it, just go ahead and do it. So we did, and it took us a little bit, but like we were trying, but we weren't actually trying, if that makes sense. So we didn't get pregnant with Ezra until about 9 months after we got married, I would say. And when we did, I found out I was pregnant when I was like 2 weeks pregnant, like barely the faintest little line on the test. And I was testing religiously, like every month to see if I was pregnant or not. So whenever we found out, we were just like, oh, okay, yay. What do we do?
what now?
Yeah, both of our moms, like, it's obviously been a really long time since they have had children, and lots of things have changed. So I was like, okay, what do I do? So during this pregnancy, or with Ezra's pregnancy, I went to a regular OB office. At the time, I was working full time at a veterinary office. I work as a veterinary assistant. I've worked there for 4-ish years. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Just like flipping around dogs, being exposed to all of the gross stuff that is carried by animals and whatever. So that was something that I needed to think about. So I went to a regular OB office. Everything was okay starting out. You know, regular OB offices, you go in and you see somebody different every single time, and they kind of just in and out with you, no real conversation, no real getting to know me, you know, that whole thing. But it was fine. I had no morning sickness, no complications whatsoever, like dream pregnancy, amazing, like made me want to be pregnant like all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. I cannot thank God enough for giving that to me and blessing me with that, because that is the most confident that I think I have ever been, was during that period whenever I was pregnant with her. That being said, everything was going okay. And then at 38 weeks, they were talking about how big she was and talking about how we might have to schedule induction. And I was like, okay, well, let's wait a little bit. Like, I don't want to schedule right at 38 weeks. I just want to wait just a little bit. And so we went and did the membrane sweeps, and I was already progressing at 39 weeks. I was already like 2 centimeters, and I don't even remember how much I faced, but like we were progressing, like things were going okay. And then at the end, probably the end of 39 weeks, right before my due date, I started getting very, very uncomfortable, just pregnancy uncomfortable. I don't really know what that feels like at that time. So I'm like, I'm dying. I'm literally dying, you know?
Yeah.
Which now that I look back at it, I'm like, I was so dramatic.
Yeah.
But I was desperate, and so they called me one morning while we were at church. I was literally teaching Sunday school, and they called me and was like, "Hey, we have you on the induction list. Do you want to go ahead and come in?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, we're coming in right now." So
no medical reason necessarily, just
no,
I've reached the end of my rope. They're offering induction and
yes,
I'm taking it.
yes.
Okay.
And they had talked about it several different appointments before, like, oh, this might be a good option for you if you get uncomfortable, or if we're monitoring you like at your regularly scheduled appointments and things are not progressing. So in my head, I was like, this is already an option. So when they called me, I was like, oh, yes,
Yeah.
this is how this is supposed to go. This is how I get my baby out. Whatever. So we went in at 11, got everything going. They hooked me up to Pitocin right away. Well, they checked me and I was already at a 4.
So no need to do like Cervidil or anything.
No, did not have to
No
do
Foley,
Cervidil.
just straight to the pit.
Yep, straight to it. And of course, I only lasted like 15 minutes on Pitocin, and I was like, please give me an epidural right now.
Right.
So I got an epidural. While they were doing my epidural, they went into my spinal space instead of my epidural space.
Ooh.
So what he did is he went into my spinal space and then was like, oops, I'm not in the right spot, came out and then went into my epidural space. So that left a hole in my little whatever they put the spinal in for like a C-section. It left a hole. So my body was dripping out spinal fluid. I did not know at the time. I just thought that I had a really, really good epidural. Really good epidural.
Really strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what they told me.
Oh, so you found this out after the fact?
After the fact.
Okay.
So, yeah. Whenever I was in labor, I was like, why do women not get epidurals? That is what I was thinking during my labor, which labor as in I could not feel anything from the chest down. Like could barely even feel my body breathing. So at 11 when they checked me, I was at like a 4, and then they checked me a little bit later, and then I was like at an 8, and then they checked me again like closer to 11 that evening, and I was at a 10. And they were like, okay, let's do some practice pushing.
The practice push.
All the practice push. And so I had a male doctor, a male OB. And while I was doing my OB visits, he was perfectly fine. But I did type out a birth plan of everything that I wanted with all of the things like the delayed cord clamping and keeping the Verinix on and like all of the things which were not regarded at all. So whenever I was practice pushing, he was like, okay, well, you're ready. So let's go ahead and do it. And so I only pushed for like 10 minutes, but when I did, I tore pretty bad. So whenever like recovery and stuff like that was a little more rough, but she was born at, I think it was 11:04 that evening. So not necessarily a really long labor. My body was probably going to go into labor shortly after that 40-week mark. So if I would have just been a little patient, we would have been able to do something different. But I think that all of that kind of happened for a reason. Like, I don't know. I feel like we were at the right space at the right time. Like while this is happening, I just felt like I was comforted. And then after the fact, after I got home, we went home like 2 or 3 days later. And while I was in the hospital, I kept saying, I have a really bad headache. Like my head is hurting so bad. And they were like, it's just your hormone shift. Like you just had a baby. Like your head is going to hurt. That is just totally normal. So they kept feeding me Tylenol while I was in the hospital. I was like, this is not doing anything. I like don't feel any different. And so of course everybody's coming in and seeing us and visiting us, and they're taking pictures, and like in all of the pictures my eyes are like super dilated, and I'm like just like absolutely washed. I look yellow in all of the pictures that people are taking of me. And so we go home. I don't even remember the ride home from the hospital. I sat in the back and had to like close my eyes because my head was hurting so bad. Got home, stayed for like a day, and I was like, babe, something is wrong. Something is really wrong. And so anytime that I would lay down, the headache would go away. And then when I sat back up, it would just be like so much pressure in my head. And so I called the anesthesiologist, gave me his phone number.
Wow.
Which was very shocking, but definitely the wrong thing to do because I bothered him quite a bit. So he told me to go ahead and come in with my 1-day-old, come back in so he could do a blood patch, which is where they take the blood out of the hand, like a vein in your hand, and put it directly, the warm blood, into the same spot that they did your epidural to seal up the spot where they nicked the spinal pop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went back and we did that. When I got there, they took me to this really private spot of the hospital, is what they called it, but it was like sketchy, so sketchy. We went back there and they were like, well, you can't bring your baby back here. And I was like, what do you mean? I have a 1-day-old. Luckily, my mom went with us, so my mom just held her in the waiting area. But like,
that's weird.
That was the first red flag. Second red flag was like it was in this really weird, private, like almost abandoned spot in the hospital. And I was like, this
almost
is
like they were doing this under the radar.
For sure. For sure. I was like,
so
this
weird.
is not right.
Whether you are pregnant with your first baby or wanting to have a different birth experience for a subsequent delivery, this is the fully comprehensive Christian childbirth course for you, the Surrendered Birth Course. With over 10 years of experience as a childbirth educator, a birth doula, and having had 5 kids myself, almost 6, I have created a course fit for every mama out there who wishes to be fully informed on all things pregnancy, labor, birth, postpartum, and breastfeeding, while remembering to keep Jesus at the center of it all. Our God created a beautiful design for birth, something to look forward to, and not something to be feared. Not only will this course get you prepared for your birth, but it will also get you excited for it. It will answer questions you never knew you had and teach you things you didn't realize were so incredibly valuable and central to the entire birthing process. I've had numerous couples on their 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th babies who've taken this course and said how incredibly glad they were and that they learned so much more than they ever thought they would. With over 12 hours of video content, 5 modules, numerous lessons, detailed PDF printout notes, and endless resources, we dive deep into pregnancy, labor, the risks and benefits of interventions, inductions, immediate and extended postpartum for both mom and baby, everything you need to know about breastfeeding, and basic newborn care. This course covers everything. Once you've taken the course, I am available to you for any questions you might have during a monthly live Q&A Zoom call exclusive to our online course audience, as well as through email. The course is on demand, so as soon as you purchase it, you'll be able to start right away and re-watch any lessons as many times as you need. Whether you are planning a medicated hospital birth or an unmedicated birth at a birth center or home birth, this course will prepare you in every way that you can be prepared. While I understand the desire to take a specific hospital or home birth course catered to your specific birth plans, birth doesn't always go how we plan. And having the knowledge of how birth can go in other environments outside of our plans is essential. Most importantly, I will help you to surrender these plans to God. And in return, the Holy Spirit will provide you with the peace that only He can give. For more information on the course, to read testimonials of others who have taken it, or to sign up for the course, just click the link in the show notes. And lastly, remember, just like we say here every week on the podcast, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands.
I was like, this is not right at all. And it only took like 10 minutes for him to do it. But I was like, why is all this happening right now? So after he did it, immediate relief when he did it.
Like the headache went away.
Yes, immediate relief. It was so crazy. I did not expect that, but we got home and everything was fine after that. And then my husband, at the time, he works a job where he has to stay out of town a lot. So before we had Ezra, he was at home quite a bit. And then when Ezra was 2 weeks old, he had to start working in South Carolina, which was around 4 hours from us. The job site was around 4 hours from us. So he had to stay out of town Monday through Thursday, and he would come back on the weekends. So that being said, I had a 2-week-old, had no idea what I was doing. My mom was staying with us for a little bit, but also, like, she had to go to work too. So I was just kind of by myself doing my own thing. And so I really, really struggled with postpartum depression with my first, just because I felt so alone. And none of my friends have kids, they still don't have kids. So it was really, really odd for me, that space in time. Like, the enemy was definitely attacking me during that time. And I can see that and say that now. But at the time, I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm so alone. God is not with me. He is so distant. And like, it was one of the hardest times in my entire life. But luckily, my husband is a God-fearing man. And every weekend, he would come home and just pour into me, like absolutely pour into me. I wouldn't want to get up and go to church. He would drag me to church, make me sit there, like have somebody else hold our baby while we sat and worshiped in church. And like, just the little things like that is what brought me back around and took the haze totally off of my eyes, and just so I could see clearly again and realize what I'm doing is kingdom work. Like, God called me to be a mom, like, and I genuinely believe that. And he was just trying to allow me to see that too. So I'm so thankful for that.
And maybe you'll mention this, but you said while you were in labor, while you were getting induced, while it was all happening, you felt like this was the best decision, this was the right thing, all of that.
During that time, yes. Me and my husband both had an overwhelming peace about it. And I don't, now that I think about it, I'm like, how? I know too much now.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like I know too much to be like, what? But during the time, we were so confident in our decision.
Yeah.
In everything that we did. Now, we didn't do any vaccines or anything like that, even though we were pressured to. But that peace was, it was only a peace that God could give, because at the time there was just like so many things that could have been pointed out to me that were not going the way that I wanted them to go per my birth plan.
Yeah.
But they were irrelevant. They seemed super irrelevant to how things were going at the time. So
yeah.
it was definitely a God-given peace, I feel like.
Yeah. So your husband helped slowly but surely to sort of pull you out of this postpartum depression, and life sort of becomes clear again, and you get into a rhythm. You're a mom, you have a baby. The girls are pretty close in age. They're under 2 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us the story of time number 2.
Yes. So we use natural family planning, and we knew that we wanted to have kids close together. Like, we wanted to have them close together so they could grow up with one another. And if we were going to do it, we were going to do it, you know? So when Ezra was like 6 months old is when we started talking about when we would want to start trying again. And so we were like, well, if it just happens, it happens. And so we go to the beach with my husband's family for a week. And my milk supply, I'm still breastfeeding. Ezra was 10 months old. And I'm still breastfeeding, and my milk supply just starts plummeting. And I was like, oh my gosh, my 10-month-old is weaning herself, which she kind of was already. But this is where she was like, I really don't want to nurse. Like, I just want to nurse for fun now. I don't want to nurse for like nutrition anymore. So we were at the beach, and I was being so ugly to my father-in-law. Like, so ugly. I feel so bad about it to this day. But I was like, gosh, why do I feel so much like hate towards him right now? Like, this is terrible. And so we got home, And the day that we got home, I was like, I'm going to take an ovulation and a pregnancy test just to see where I'm at. And the test came back positive, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I have been so ugly and my milk supply is plummeting. And so I continued breastfeeding with Ezra until she was 1. And then she was like, okay, I'm all done with you. And I was like, that's fine, because I'm also all done with you. So I kind of had the same journey pregnancy wise. Great pregnancy, no morning sickness, kind of just going on about my day. I really didn't even feel pregnant until I was like 30 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. Like when she started moving, I could obviously be like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant because she's moving all the time. But like
Right.
other than that, no other symptoms. So
That's awesome and wild and amazing.
it is. It's absolutely insane. It's insane. So with this route, we went to Natural Beginnings in Statesville,
The birth center.
the birth center.
And why
Yes.
did you choose to do that this time after your super peaceful induction epidural last time?
Yes.
Other than the spinal tap hole thing, other than that.
Yes. Yes. I wanted to be able to have Ezra naturally. And that was a big, not only goal for me, but I did a whole bunch of research after Ezra was born to see side effects of epidurals, NICU rates, induction rates, like all of that stuff. And that's why I kind of feel uneasy about the reason that they called me, or like uneasy about the whole induction process now. But this go around, I was like, I know that I don't want to go back to a regular OB. I want to be able to have that personable relationship with a midwife,
Mm-hmm.
be able to have somebody that I can call and I know that I can trust them, and that I'm not just talking to a random nurse that's there on any given Tuesday. So that's why we went with the birth center this time. And we have had an unbelievable experience with them. Absolutely amazing. And not even just for like pregnancy care, like for wellness, like the nurse practitioner that's there for her wellness stuff.
Yeah.
Unbelievable care. Like I have taken Ezra to a pediatrician, but we are slowly moving to the nurse practitioner that is there because we don't vaccinate and they don't even carry vaccines there. So we're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We don't even have to worry about the conversation, you know?
No pressure.
So, yeah, no pressure at all to do anything. They're kind of just like, you can inform yourself about this if you want to. Here's some resources if you want to, but if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it. So, and that's pretty much about anything, whether that be like the strep B swab, whether that be cervical checks. Like they don't do it if you don't want them to. If you don't want ultrasounds, they won't do ultrasounds. So, very, very, very thankful for the experience that we've had there. Like I said, no concerns, no troubles. We kind of were just like your regular routine patients that come in and get their stuff, get your blood pressure taken, and then all done. So on her due date, we went in and I think they said that I was right at 3 centimeters. And she asked if I want to do a membrane sweep. And I said, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And obviously, the risk of breaking my water or like anything like that, I knew that that was a risk at the time. I was like, I think if it'll get things moving, let's go ahead. So we went ahead, and then another week went by, and I went back, and they were like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And she was like, do you want me to check you? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. That's totally fine. So she checked me, and I was at like 4.5, probably 4.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I can do another membrane sweep if you want me to, but we don't have to. And I was like, go ahead and do it. Whatever. I don't care. And then another 4 days went by, and I was like, oh, when is this going to happen? This is the longest pregnancy ever.
For you.
Yes, yes. And so that evening, let's see, it was 41 and 4. It was like 8 o'clock in the evening. I had been having some contractions that day, but I was like, those aren't like real baby contractions. Like they're like Braxton Hicks contractions or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't real, but they were for sure. So later on that evening, around 8, I started having regular contractions that I could start timing, but I wasn't like, I don't know if this is real or not. Like, I was still really on the fence. So I was sitting in the chair with my husband and my mom. My mom had been there for 2 weeks. So we were all just sitting in the living room, and I was like, Hunter, I think I'm having some contractions. I think we should start timing them. So we started timing them, and they were like 7 minutes apart ish when we started. And so I went ahead and snuck away and called the midwife. And they were like, okay, well, you should go get in the shower, see if things progress from your shower. And I was like, okay, very chill. And so I go back in and I tell my mom, I'm like, okay, mom, I just called the midwife. Here's what we're going to do. And so
Was your mom going to be coming to the birth with you, or was she going to be keeping Ezra?
she was going to be keeping Ezra. That is why she had been there for about 2 weeks, because she thought that she wouldn't, she only lives 20 minutes away from me. So she just wanted to be there just in case in the middle of the night I went into labor. So she was going to be staying at my house with Ezra. So I got in the shower, things picked up a little bit. I was still having consistent contractions after that. So we decided to go ahead and head to Statesville, which is about an hour from my house. So we were like, okay, it's fine. We've got time. We're good.
When you say things picked up a little bit, what do you mean? Like,
they started getting a little bit stronger, and I could tell that they were moving from like just little crampy contractions to like, oh, I can feel my belly tightening. Most of like the early contractions, I felt just like cramping on my bottom, but like after the shower, they picked up quite a bit. Not necessarily intense contractions, but I could just feel my belly tightening.
yeah.
So we headed to the birth center. I turned on my Christian hypnobirthing app. That was awesome. I'm glad that I was able to have the time to do that. I listened to it the whole way. Kind of just got my mind and my body ready for labor. Hunter was going so fast. He was so scared that I was going to have to be in the car. So scared. I don't know why, because I was cool as a cucumber, just laying there about halfway asleep on the way. Like I would have to breathe through some contractions, but nothing very intense. So when we got there, it was like probably 9:30, almost 10 o'clock. And so whenever we got there, my midwife Haley and her assistant were there. They were the only ones there. We got to pick whatever room. No other women were there that were in labor. So we got to pick whatever room that we wanted. It was awesome. So we went in and she was like, okay, I can just leave you in here. We're going to check and see where you're at. So we know like where your baseline is, if you're going to stay, if we're going to send you home. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So she checked me and I was at a 6, and she was like, you're still pretty early, but we're going to go ahead and keep you since this is your second baby.
Right.
Like, cool. I did not want to drive back home. So that is awesome.
Right.
So we kind of just laid around for a little bit. Me and Hunter took a little nap. They started to pick up, my contractions started to pick up just a little bit, where I would have to stand and sway a little bit. And I just felt like I really needed to move my body. So that's what I did. I got on the birth ball for a little bit. Then it was probably around 12, and she came and checked me again. And I was at an 8. Very easily talking through contractions, just like me and you are talking right now. They weren't super painful, like just pressure, no pain.
Nice.
During this time, I'm still listening like to the hypnobirthing tracks, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Like when she told me I was at an 8, I was like, whoa, this is insane. I'm actually doing this. And so of course, Hunter is just like sitting there, like, oh, you're doing such a good job. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were kind of just hanging out. And after she checked me, I was like, I think I'm going to go get in the shower. So I went and got in the shower and sat on the ball in the shower and let it kind of just run over my back. And things started to intensify. Contractions started to get about 3 minutes apart. So we chilled in the shower for like 30 minutes. And I was like, I think I want to get in the tub. So we went ahead and got in the tub. Just me. I just got in the tub. Hunter is grossed out about that whole situation, but anyways. Hunter was just sitting there at the edge of the tub helping me, but as soon as I got into the tub, things like really picked up and I really had to concentrate in getting through contractions. And I really didn't like my butt in the water. I liked my belly in the water, but not my butt.
That's
They just
funny.
felt so much more pressure whenever I had my butt in the water for some reason. And I was like, okay, I don't like this anymore. So, and I sat in there for 2 hours, just doing my thing. And so I was like, okay, I really have to get out because I need to poop so bad. And she was like, I don't think you need to poop. I think that's your baby. And I was like, no, for real, I just got to go poop. And so she was like, how about this? How about you get out and I just look down there and see what's going on. And then if you got to go poop, then you can go poop. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So I got out and she was like, well, you're still at an 8, but your bag is literally like, I can see your bag
Your
coming
bag
out.
of
And I was
waters,
like,
yeah.
yes. And so she was like, if I break your water, you are going to have this baby very quickly. And I was like, all right. I'd been in the tub for 2 hours working.
Yeah.
I mean, just a working. And I was like, okay, do it, girl. And so she did it. And as soon as she did, she was still checking me, and the baby just moved right on down. And she was like, okay, you're at a 10. And I was like, nope, I have to poop. And she was like, you don't have to poop. That's your baby. And I was like, no, I have to poop.
So the argument continues. So did you make it to the toilet and try?
I did. I went to the toilet. She was like, I'm just going to follow you, though. Wherever you go, I'm just going to follow you. And so I made it to the toilet, and I did, in fact, not have to poop.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. What are you going to do? So I did not understand the whole term of involuntary contractions until I experienced it.
You mean involuntary pushing?
Yes, sorry, involuntary pushing. Did not understand the concept really, but that happened to me and I was like, whoa, that is insane. So I was sitting on the toilet and then the midwife walks in there and I am like
Yeah,
involuntary
pushing.
contraction or pushing. And so she was like, okay, this next one, do you want to get on the floor? And I just like kind of was like, I just need to sit here for just a second. And so the next one came and her head came out. And so she was like, okay, well, let's get on the floor. So we got on the floor and then the next one, she was out. So it was like a boom, boom, boom
Yeah.
sort of situation. She came out super, super fast. My husband was like holding my baby's head as I was going to the floor to give birth to her on the floor. And so after she came out, all was well. And I was like, I cannot believe that just happened, because it was not painful. It was not what I expected it to be at all. Yes, it was a lot of pressure, but like I can firmly say that I had a pain-free birth. And that is the craziest thing that I think could ever happen to a woman. People have the stigma like, oh, you had a natural birth. Like, did it hurt? That's what they always ask. And now I can be like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like the most empowering experience. And not even one time, even with me having an epidural in my first birth and it being so positive for me, I did not think about epidural, not one time, not a single time during this whole experience. Like me constantly just feeding my brain with what God's word says and my husband praying over me the entire time and just really connecting with God during that time. Like I did. I had a pain-free birth and it was crazy.
Crazy awesome.
Yeah. Crazy awesome. Like I would do it 10 million times over, and I understand why women, even though like the world thinks that oh they have had a natural birth, they're not going to want any more children. I can understand why women get a high off of having children, because it is like an amazing experience just to be able to do that in general.
Hey, I agree. It wasn't until my 4th birth that I experienced that, what you're talking about. But once I did, I felt the same way. I could do this 10 million times, and I would want to. Maybe
Yep.
not the pregnancy for me, but but the labor
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So how did postpartum go this time? I mean, you're still in it, but
I'm still living it right now. Yeah. But I kind of still feel like I'm living through my first postpartum.
with
We're
your
just
20-month
doubling
old.
up here. Yeah. So whenever I came home, so birth center, you come home the day of. I was home by 7 a.m. when my toddler wakes up. I had her at 4 and I was home by 7.
Awesome.
It was amazing. And so I got to be there when my daughter met Ollie, when Ezra met Ollie, and that whole thing, that is just a crazy feeling. Your children meeting each other, like it's something that you just can't even explain. But being able to do that at home, that was amazing. To be able to come home and be in my own bed and to not really have to answer to anybody. So before my birth, I had kind of my care team lined up on who I needed to come and when. And so the day that I had her, of course, my mom was there with Ezra. And so she had already been making some food and kind of getting the house cleaned up, making sure my toddler was all set and ready. And so when we got home, we just laid in the bed. We had been up for a really, really long time. So we laid in the bed, all of us. I was able to breastfeed and not have any issues at that time. My chiropractor, Dr. Leslie Stocklosa, she came and did her first adjustment, which is so helpful. She came out super fast. So she came out and she was like, whoa, oh my gosh. And so it was like super tense and tight. So she still sees Dr. Leslie like every week as of right now. So we're still working on the tightness thing, but I'm very thankful for her. And then Caitlin Hedrick, she's my lactation consultant. She also met me at the house whenever we got home. So started our lactation journey with her, which with Ezra, didn't see a chiropractor, didn't see a lactation consultant. We just winged it. So very, very thankful for them. And like a lot of people have questions, are like, why didn't you do it the first time, but you're doing it the second time? Haven't you already like been through it? And I'm like, it's so different. Each baby is different, but I wanted to not struggle through this postpartum like I did the first time. And I don't think that I could like afford to struggle this go around, because I have another small child as well. So I wanted to be as prepared as possible. And
yeah,
I have had a great, great care team by my side. And of course, my husband has been the best. He actually, 2 weeks before Ollie was born, found out that he was going to be working 5 minutes from our home. So
oh, wow.
that was the biggest blessing. We had been praying for that since Ezra was born, for him to come home, and just now, 2 weeks before Ollie was born, is when he got to come home, which that is just proof of why you just keep on praying. You keep on praying because God hears you. He does. We are still trying to process that answered prayer. Like, I don't think that it has fully hit me yet that he is at home now, because we survived without him at home throughout the week for a really long time. So we're still processing that. So he comes home for lunch every day, and like it's so different this go around. So I have lots of help this go around. So very, very thankful for that. And I feel like I am in a way better place with God this time. I am not letting myself drift as far, or He is not letting me drift as far. God never moves, we move. So it's one
Right.
of those things where I was like, I cannot let myself. I'm not going to let myself. Like, we are going to stay consistent. And even when we don't want to get up and read, even when we don't want to get up and pray, or we just got so many things going on in our head, like, you get up and you do it because
Yeah.
this is what you need to do. So I think that has really helped me as well. But overall, 10 out of 10 would recommend. We've had some struggles with breastfeeding, but we're getting all of that worked out. So it's been a little bit more difficult this go around, the whole breastfeeding thing, but I'm really, really glad that I got a lactation consultant. God knew that I needed this, because we did end up having to do the whole tongue and lip tie revision and all the things. So we're getting everything worked out, but everything is going according to His plan. So
Yeah. So you recommend the natural birth over the Pitocin contraction epidural combo?
yes, 1000%. I get asked that all the time because I have friends that don't have babies, and they're like, well, when we have kids, you're the first person I'm going to. And I was like, I don't know if you should do that, but
send them to me. I'll tell them all the
yeah,
things.
I'm going to send them to you. Yeah. We have at Dr. Leslie's office, we see pregnancy, prenatal, and infants. And so whenever I'm like, I need to do a birth class, I'm like, you need to go see Kayla Heater.
Oh,
This is who you need to go see, because truth be told, we did not do a birth class or anything before we had Ezra. And people are like, you are crazy for doing a birth class on your second kid. And I'm like, no, I don't think that you understand. It is a completely different ballgame going from a hospital birth to a birth center birth, from a completely medicated birth to a completely unmedicated birth.
right.
Like, totally different ball games. And like, you need to have somebody in your corner that has been able to experience that and talk about it and explain it and push you towards it, because if you don't have anybody pushing you towards it, you will go backwards.
Well, you tell them to come see me, and if they say the drive is too far, then you can send them to the online on-demand class now, because that's what it's there for.
Yes. That's so awesome that you have that. I did tell somebody the other day that you had an online class now, and they're like, oh, she's very early, very, very early in her pregnancy. She's probably like 10 or 15 weeks, maybe.
Never too early to start. Just gives you that much more time to prep and research and adjust and change providers, probably.
Probably.
Okay. Beautiful stories. Thank you for telling them. Is there any other advice or anything else you feel like the Lord taught you or spoke to you, or anything else you want to share as we wrap up?
Probably just trusting your intuition. Women kind of sometimes get a bad rap for like trusting their gut, and but I trust my gut with pretty much anything. So trusting the intuition that the Holy Spirit gives you, not exactly what everything that pops into your head, but like being guided by the Holy Spirit in your intuition and trusting that and doing what that says. I feel like that is so important, because especially when it comes to your children, I didn't think that I would have like an unmedicated and medicated birth before I had babies. I feel like that I thought it was going to be just one way or no way, So me being able to experience both of those, and both of those were driven by what God wanted for my life. Me being able to trust my intuition and saying, okay, if this is what God wants, this is what He wants. I feel like that's super important in whatever your birth or your raising of your children, like, that is so important. And it doesn't have to be a one size fits all the time. It doesn't. I'm glad that I know what I know now.
Yeah.
Going back to that, but like, I am really, really thankful that things went the way that they did in both times. So
No. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on and sharing and taking this time. I know in the haze of the newborn fog, it's a lot for me to ask of your brain. So I appreciate it.
absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. You can reach me at Surrendered Birth Services on Instagram or email me at contact@surrenderedbirthservices.com. Be sure not to miss an episode by hitting the follow button. Also, we'd love for you to leave a written review of the show so that more people's births and lives can be changed by the love of Jesus and the empowerment of accurate birth education. If you really enjoyed this episode in particular, please take a screenshot of it and post it to your Instagram story, tagging Surrendered Birth Services. If you would like to be a guest on the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, please click the link in the episode show notes to fill out your interest form. Also, if you're interested in taking my childbirth classes, birth consultations, or having me as your birth doula, please click on the link in the show notes to take you to my website for online and in-person options. Just as a reminder, this show is not giving medical advice, so please continue to see your personal care provider as needs arise. We hope you have a great week, and remember, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands.
Welcome to today's episode. Sorry, I just had to add a little humor to the beginning that you will have to cut out, but I just added a little bit of humor.